Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. I'm an author and depression survivor. Welcome to another edition of One-on-One with the Depression Counselor. In my last video, we talked about the important topic of how to support a loved one who is depressed. In today's video, we're going to talk about preventing caregiver burnout. You know, when you're caring for someone who has a chronic condition like depression, you can very easily, if you don't watch it, get so involved with that person that you can neglect your own needs and get burned out. The other thing that can happen is you could actually take on their depression and have what we call contagious depression. So I'd like to share some tips about how to take care of yourself so that doesn't happen, and you can be there to support your loved one. The first thing, of course, is to take care of your physical health. In my book, Healing from Depression, I talk about physical self-care is the starting point of all recovery. It's also the starting point of all recovery for a caregiver. This means make sure you're getting enough rest, that you're eating properly, you're getting enough exercise, and really taking care of your physical body. The next thing is you should make sure that your routine is continuing as much as possible. So if you have things you do that are supportive of you, hobbies, activities, try to maintain your routine and not have it too disrupted by the way in which you're taking care or helping the other person. Also, learn to set limits, which means if you find yourself being overwhelmed, if it's too much for you, step back and make sure that person is getting the proper support from their mental health treatment team. And as I said in the last video, if they don't have a mental health treatment team, it's really important that you help them get one, because it's not your job to basically cure the depression, only to be there to support the healing process. The other thing is, another important key is not to take personally anything the depressed person does or says, because oftentimes, you may be making suggestions and trying to be helpful, and they say no, they're negative. Well, that's the whole part of being depressed, right? They are negative. They see through a glass darkly, and so they'll say, I never get better. They won't listen to your encouragement. It may feel very frustrating to have your suggestions turned down, but that's part of the condition, and you just have to expect that. And if you find yourself getting too frustrated, then go find a person or a place to process your feelings so you don't take it out on the depressed person, because it really isn't their fault. So if you don't have a therapist or a counselor, find one, or find a confidant. Find people you can talk with where you can process your feelings. The other thing, of course, is to take breaks. You have to take time to replenish yourself. Maybe you should go to the beach for the weekend, or just take time out so you can recharge your batteries. And also continue to find activities that give you pleasure, because that's another way that you're going to basically feel a lot better. So if you have hobbies that you do, if you ride bikes or take hikes, make sure you're doing things that are pleasurable for you. So again, it's like with making a deposit in your bank account, of being the helper, so that you can make a withdrawal. When you're basically helping the depressed person, right? If there's nothing in the bank account, what's going to happen? You're going to come up empty-handed, or worse, right? You want to avoid overdrafts when you're basically taking care of a depressed person. And of course, one way to really get support is to attend classes with other caregivers. Now, fortunately, there is an organization called NAMI, N-A-M-I, National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have chapters all over the country, and every city where there's a NAMI branch, they have something called a family 12-week. It's called Family to Family 12-week course. It's an educational course where caregivers can get together, learn about depression, learn about bipolar anxiety, get educated, and have other people around them who are also caregivers they can talk to. It's an invaluable course. It's free. And if you have a NAMI, if you can go to the website, their website, nami.org, www.nami.org, you can find a local branch in your area and try to see if you can get into a class or a support group. And finally, give yourself credit for what you are doing, and try to distinguish between what you can control and what you can't control. So what can you control? Your activities, what you say, what you do. What can't you control? The course of the disease, what the person says or does in terms of how they take your suggestions. In other words, you can't control what the other person's responses are. All you can do is basically control what you can do. And this is where I like the serenity prayer from Alcoholics Anonymous. God grant me to accept the serenity for the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if you have that wisdom to know what you can do and what you can't do, and just be at peace with what you are doing, you'll feel a lot better and you will avoid burnout. I hope these tips have been helpful to you. I write more about caregiver burnout and basically being a caregiver for a depressed person on my website, healingfromdepression.com, and in my book, Healing from Depression. Until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery.